of shiny helmets, spandex jumpsuits, and strange monsters. These heroes force feed you a bowl of awesome that is the Tokudon Podcast. Join Carl, Josh, and Rob as they haphazardly welcome you to the exciting genre of Tokusatsu. Now, open wide.
What's going on, guys? This episode's a little bit different. I'm by myself this time and just kind of rating Godzilla movies to what I like. So if you do enjoy something like this, you want to see more of these sort of Carl V cinemas, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at KaijuCarl or the Twitch page. Every Sunday we're doing Tokusatsu stuff. And yeah, just kind of trying something new. Strap in, let's rate some Godzilla. Oh man, do we have a spectacle today? So, I am by myself. We are going to kind of hang out and do something fun. I thought it would be cool to just kind of talk Toku to the world. So yeah, we're gonna rank some Godzilla movies, and not just some, pretty much all of them. So let's hang on. Let me blow myself up a little bit here. So we're gonna try and rank the Godzilla movies purely based on my personal opinion. First off, let me put it that way. So essentially, I'm going to just give my 2 cents to each one. And I mean, there's 30 something altogether. So 36 now with Godzilla vs. King Kong. And you'll notice when I pull up the list in a second, Godzilla vs. King Kong is not on this list, but you know, we'll get to it in a second. I have my 2 cents. We actually did an episode on it not too long ago, but that episode is dead. Half the audio didn't record, half the everything didn't everything. So I am going to go through the movies. I've ordered these in chronological order on our little list here, and I figured that would be the best way probably to go through it. Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe I'll pick a couple stinkers, a couple good guys, and a couple, you know, and then we'll just kind of pick out what's left. So sit back, relax, and if you have any feedback, please feel free to put your 2 cents in. Like I said, this is just kind of like an open forum thing. Rob's not available this week. I want to do something Tokudani. That's a new word I just made up. We're gonna do something a little Tokudani, Tokusatsu-ish. It's Sundays, we want to do some Toku content. So, and I figured I'm still riding that high of hanging out with the Toku World Tour guys, watching Gamera, and I love Godzilla. I love Godzilla so much. This dude. So when I was younger, every Saturday morning on Sci-Fi there would be some kind of Godzilla movie. Usually it was the Showa ones, the old Showa guys, and it blew my mind. I don't know what it was. Something about them was nuts. I had a couple on VHS, like I had Godzilla vs. King Kong on VHS. Then I would later find out that I had accidentally swapped it at Blockbuster, of all places, for Son of Godzilla. That movie is certainly something. Yeah, we'll get to it. But I had a VHS that swapped, so I had a case for one and the actual VHS of another. It might have been the other way around, I forget, honestly. Maybe I just subconsciously hated the movie that much that I wanted to get rid of it. So, yeah, and then I didn't see the original Godzilla until, like, way later. I want to say I was probably pushing 20 when I finally saw the original Godzilla, like the original. And I'm talking, like, Gojira original. Yeah, it was a long time coming, and I had mainly lived around the Heisei era. The Showa movies I had enjoyed when I was younger, just because they're goofy. That's kind of the target audience. They're made to be fun, silly, ridiculous, we've all seen the gifs of Godzilla, like doing the drop kick, all that kind of stuff. There's one movie in particular where most of that stuff comes from. We'll talk about that one because it has one of my favorite characters, and maybe eventually we'll do a Godzilla kaiju tier list of the actual monsters themselves. But for today, we're just doing the movies. So let's get this kicking. So here we go. Hanging out, doing some kaiju movies. Let's start with the original so you guys can kind of gauge how I'm going to feel about these. So let's start with Gojira. While I think it is one of the best movies in the series for multiple reasons, not only... Get rid of this stuff. Not only is it the predecessor to everything, it is... Oh, there we go. Perfect. Got it all in there. Okay. Not only is it the predecessor to everything and the function of a pop culture icon, Gojira, the original Gojira, was essentially a propaganda film when it first dropped. You have to remember, this is maybe close to 15 years after the atomic bombs had dropped. So it's still very relevant. Like, even today, people still have issues from those bombs. So it's a very relevant subject in the minds of the Japanese people at this point. And Godzilla in this is to represent that uncontrollable force of nature and the after effects of the atomic bombs. Godzilla's design for his skin was based on... I'm going to get the word wrong, so I'm going to look it up real quick. Keloid scarring, I believe, is the term. It's a particular type of scarring that is almost exclusive to radiation poisoning. And as you can imagine, being an atomic bomb, radiation was pretty high in those areas. So it's a propaganda film, short and sweet. And you might see, like, when comparing it to the 2014 Godzilla, there was a lot of, well, if you look at the original, yada, 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 Godzilla was only in it for this long. He's actually in it this one for longer, on all these kind of arguments. That's fine. That's all great. I get it. I understand that argument. But this in particular was a better movie, in my opinion. Gojira was a better movie. That being said, on a personal level, I think it has aged in a way that is both... trying to think of the word. Charming and also just aged. Like, there's some things that are like very classic origins of kaiju and tokusatsu, and I will always appreciate and love this movie. But on a personal level, it's kind of like Seven Samurai, if anyone's ever seen that movie. I have seen that movie one time. Seven Samurai is like 4 hours long. And it is like the slowest burn 4 hours. I don't think it's actually 4. I think it's closer to like 2.5. But it is the slowest burn. It is a phenomenal movie. But I don't really want to go and like watch it every Saturday, if that makes sense. So for Gojira, I'm going to put it A tier. Simply because, again, yes, if we were talking like objectively cool, whatever, best movies in the franchise, yes, immediately. But me personally, I don't feel the need to want to watch it every week. I don't feel the need to like repeatedly go back to it. But without this, I wouldn't have an existence as a fanboy kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's a double-edged sword. So I'm going to put it as A tier simply because it's Grandpappy Godzilla. Okay? Now, the second movie in our tier list, Godzilla Raids Again. This is the premiere of Anguirus, Godzilla's partner in crime through most of the other movies, next to a few others, but especially in the Showa era, he's kind of Godzilla's number two, his Robin to his Batman. This one premiered in 1966, I believe, or 55, I'm sorry. 1955, okay? The first one's 1954. Gojira, 1954. Raids again, 1955, a year later. And this is really when we get the first time of two monsters duking it out on the screen. Now, this one I've only seen one time. It was many, many moons ago at this point. So I am going to throw it in the don't remember column, because honestly, I just don't remember a lot about it to give like a valid opinion. And I mean, this is all whatever opinion. It's all super opinion. But I want to go back and rewatch this. This is actually probably the one I'm going to watch next. I don't, when I watched it, I wasn't really paying attention sort of thing. So I can't speak to it as well as I can some of the other ones. But yeah, it's cool because I always liked Anguirus. Honestly, that's the main thing I liked about it. Anguirus is super iconic, I think, when it comes to a Godzilla, partner. He was always the one, like there was Mothra, Anguirus, and Ghidorah were the big three to me. Ghidorah isn't really a partner ever, but those were like the big three in my book. So yeah, I'm going to put it in here, not because I haven't seen it. Again, it's just, it's been so long. I can't like legitimately talk to it. So let's do everyone's favorite, Godzilla versus King Kong. I'm sorry, King Kong versus Godzilla. Get this right. Now, this movie will get you some of the best gifts you will ever see in your life. And if we were judging it on gifts alone, S tier. The choking Godzilla with a tree, phenomenal. Okay. Some of the toy tanks hanging out in the in the little scenes, great. Huge giant American stars on there. They look like the biggest toys you've ever seen. Love it. Now, the movie itself is not great. So by the time we see these two slap each other around, which again, I'm going to have a whole spiel right in this section here when we get to Godzilla versus King Kong. King Kong versus Godzilla also has two endings, by the way, in case you didn't know. One, they both just don't come out of the water. One, Godzilla comes out of the water. It's been a many a debate. I remember specifically actually renting this one. I think, okay, yes. So it was this one I rented because I remember talking to the guy at Blockbuster about the endings, and he told me there was two endings. And I was like, a little like 7-year-old me is just like, I want to see some Godzilla's fight, Dad. Just literally multiple endings. Oh my God. How do you know this, man? You're like a guru. Godzilla guru. Yeah. I don't remember that dude's name at all, but like, I just remember that particular feeling and walking up and like putting it on the counter. Being like, excuse me, I would like this one. And this dude being like, let me slap some Godzilla knowledge on you. But like, it was the 90s, so it could have just been, I don't know, some back alley man smoking a cigarette with him was like, hey man, you hear there's two endings? I don't know. My cousin told me there was two endings, that kind of thing. So Godzilla versus King Kong, solid D tier. It's not a great movie, honestly. It's goofy and it's crazy to see these icons because King Kong, remember, premiered in 1933, I believe. Let me double check that date. But the original King Kong premiered in 1933, as far as I understand. Let's see. King Kong, not Godzilla versus King Kong, just King Kong. '33, yeah, it is 33. And then they remade it in 1976, and then again in 2005. So Kong's had a lot of reboots, and Godzilla has his fair shares. We'll see as we get down the list here. This is not a great one. This is, again, for what it is, cool. Having these two giant, like, King Kong is technically the original kaiju. Technically. Godzilla is a kaiju. Watching them slap each other should be great. And there's some great moments, but the movie, good. Godzilla versus Mothra. 1964. Oh boy. Oh boy, did I like this movie. This was one of my favorites. This one in particular I remember something about the twins. I don't know why. It just always intrigued me, even though they get really campy and weird by the time Mothra gets their own series. But it was super weird and cool. And like, I've always been kind of into like moths and butterflies and stuff. Like, I think a lot of it had to do with G Gundam, honestly, and Saisaishi. But I was just really into the aesthetic of Mothra. Not that she really did much. Watch this quick clip. Got the eyes. Ooh, Godzilla suits. Maybe we'll do a Godzilla suits one sometime. I remember, I think this is the one where there's two of them. There's one where there's like a larva and a Mothra flying around. This might be it. But watching, I just remember being like blown away by the special effects of this Mothra in particular. Like, and now looking at the date, like, that's crazy. 1964. That's so early for this kind of stuff. And like, it's phenomenal, the stuff that they could do with like prosthetics and puppets and things. And like, in my head, whenever I was watching anything Mothra, really, until we get to like essentially King of the Monsters, like the Sakugo would play in my head, right, of like Mothra coming at it. And I just remember this being like classic Godzilla. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember much of the story other than like the twins and Godzilla and Mothra protecting the Earth. But I just remember like quintessential Godzilla. Like, this is one of them. Next, we have Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, the premiere of the arch nemesis, which some may argue is Mechagodzilla, but that's a different story. The premiere check something real quick. Oh, that's why. I didn't change the actual game type. Cool. Anyway, this is the premiere of Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. And I believe this is also the one with Titanosaurus in it. I believe. Let me just double check that. If not, it's the one after this. It's Astro Monster. But I believe this has Titanosaurus. Nope, that's Astro Monster. Okay. So this, yeah. Rodan is in this one as well. I forgot about that. Oh, man. This was like the first, I feel like, Battle Royale movie and probably the main inspiration for King of the Monsters. So from what I remember, again, it's probably closer to down here, but like, it was a Battle Royale movie from what I remember. It was, it's Ghidorah, man. Ghidorah. So cool. So cool. Oh no, my order got messed up. This is Mechagodzilla 2. I don't know, it's around there somewhere. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. What was next? Astro Monster. I don't know if I have that one on here. That's it. It's hard to tell because these are really small. Is this Astro Monster? This might be Astro Monster. Anyway, we're going to call it Astro Monster. We'll go from there. I don't remember this one, honestly. I don't remember the difference between these two, to be fair. I just remember Ghidorah. Like, as a kid watching them, both of them kind of doing their thing. Yeah. Ebirah. This trash monster. I can't with the lobster. I really can't. Nothing about Ebirah is ever exciting to me. I don't even remember anything that happens in the movie, honestly. Yeah, it's not good. It's just not great. He gets messed up in Final Wars, and that was probably the most memorable thing out of that movie. And then we come to our next guy. Oh boy. Son of Godzilla. Let me tell you about this movie. So, this movie and one of our other movies that we will get, let's just do them both. All Monsters Attack and Son of Godzilla. So these two movies star one and only Manila, this little dingus right here. You know, Godzilla Jr., whatever you want to call him. I hate that thing. I hate it. It's the worst thing that's ever come of Godzilla. And it's I don't know, man. I don't know how to describe it other than I lost my music. I just realized that. That music back here. There we go. Maybe. Off and come back. I added it to the wrong. Get my music back. Oop. I added it to the wrong one. Again, OBS, man. Don't use OBS. If you want to hear more about OBS, go to the episode we did with Pronghorn Hero and Hawk Hillies. And there we go. Oh man, got our music back. Okay. Sick. Worried for a second. These two movies, Son of Godzilla in particular, is garbage. Absolute garbage. I think this movie is the worst representation of Godzilla and a bunch of monsters that I've ever seen. And he fights Kumunga, which is like, giant spider cricket. I always forget if it's the spider or the grasshopper, man. But, oh man, is that not a great movie? And then same thing here. And this movie, not only is it bad, it stars a kid. This is All Monsters Attack. Not only is it bad, but it stars the most obnoxious kid with the most ridiculous kidnap story I have ever seen in my life. Like, when I tell you, like, so when I first got, let me grab something. So this is the Showa era collection for Godzilla, which I am still waiting for the Heisei and the Millennium one, but this is the Showa era collection. If you guys haven't seen this, it's pretty sick actually. So there's unique art for every movie. Right here. Unique art for every movie, and then all 15 of the Showa films are on DVD. So, pretty sick. Now, All Monsters Attack, to sum up this movie, is this kid and Manila running around complaining about Godzilla. And, like, complaining in general. The two of them are absurd. I can't handle it. Like, there's very few, like, Godzilla movies that I will straight up not recommend. Now, granted, I will watch them because it's Godzilla. I will always watch Godzilla. But there's very few I will just straight up not recommend to people. And this is one of them. I should say this is two of them. This and Son of Godzilla are just boring. That's really what it comes down to. They're absolutely boring. So stay away from those two. They're trash. They're Ebira, Son of Godzilla, All Out Monsters Attack. They could just all hang out down here, okay? Now we get to one of the best movies in the series. Destroy All Monsters. Boom. I'm not even gonna front. This movie is amazing because this was the first of the, like, you know, I called the Ghidorah movie a little bit of a battle royale. This is the first true battle royale. This brings in Manda. This brings in Anguirus. This brings in everyone. And it is just like 2 hours of Godzilla stomping everyone, leading up to not Kaiser Ghidorah. Oh boy, that's the other one. Ghidorah. And so watching that as a child is amazing. Okay? Like, you talk about the mind blown thing. Watching that as a kid and just watching all these monsters slap the crap out of her, that is why you come to Godzilla. Okay? You, like, again, this iconic. There would not be a series without this movie, but this is the quintessential essence of what Godzilla has become at this point. And this movie was 1968. 1968. And at this point, again, Godzilla's kind of turned into like a kid's superhero, but this is the movie to watch. And if you liked King of the Monsters and you want to like get a taste of old school Godzilla, watch this. This movie is amazing. Okay. Godzilla versus Ghidorah, or the Smog Monster. This movie I thought was cool because Ghidorah is kind of cool. The concept is pretty simple, like pollution monster, you get it. But like this creature would fly over entire blocks and just melt people. Like, how cool is that? He just melts them. So like, watching that as a kid, I thought that was kind of nuts. Like, I'm gonna move this up a tier, honestly. Godzilla vs. Mothra, like I said, that is iconic to me. Just as a movie. Ghidorah, same thing. Like, watching it as a kid, it was kind of scary. Like, they just leave piles of people because it melts and then like he changes forms and stuff, and Ghidorah's got like 3 different forms. And like, I wouldn't realize how much I loved that kind of thing until later, till we get to one of my other movies. So Ghidorah is a very underrated movie, I think. Like, it's pretty fantastic. And so this one, this next one, this is Godzilla versus Gigan, 1972. I am always very torn on this because Gigan is actually one of my favorite monsters. He's got hooks for hands, buzzsaws later, because it's kind of like a Mecha Gigan thing. Hooks for hands, all this stuff. And like, it's just like, it's cool. He's got a laser, he's got a buzzsaw on his chest, he's cool. But this movie is poopy doo-doo caca. Like, I love Gigan, but I gotta put it in C tier. Like, it's so weird and goofy, and I don't know. I can't. I love Gigan, and like every movie he's in, I am all for him coming around, hanging out, because he's actually the next movie we're going to talk about as well. And I don't know. Like, something about that movie was so weird to me, and like, I just wasn't about it. But we go from one of my favorite characters to one of the... He's the best character in the franchise. Let's be honest. And that is Jet Goddamn Jaguar. Okay? So, Godzilla versus Megalon. This is where we get all of our memes from. Godzilla versus Megalon has the dropkick, Firefly, and the high fives. All this stuff. So in that case, I'm going to put Megalon S tier. It's amazing. Jet Jaguar, period. That's all I'm going to say. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. Oh boy, is this a movie. Mechagodzilla, when he first showed up. Now, the first one... What am I trying to say here? Mechagodzilla is iconic, and I think a lot of people think that's his, like... Even I thought this for a very long time. Like, Mechagodzilla is, you know, the arch enemy of Godzilla. And that's really not the case. It was really King Ghidorah, because he was like the first big bad of the series. Mecha Godzilla, though, this dude comes in and like Godzilla's gotten his ass beat a few times, but like not like when Mecha Godzilla shows up. Okay, like when Mecha Godzilla shows up, he is a force of nature. Like it is. I gotta give it to the A, honestly. Actually, we're gonna do B because Terror of Mechagodzilla was the one. So I believe, let me just again double check. I don't want to speak and be wrong. Yep, that's what I thought. Mechagodzilla had the Titanosaurus, I believe. I want to make sure I get them right, because these movies came out back to back and they kind of mesh in my head after a little while. Okay, they both had them. Never mind. So you know what? I'm going to put Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla right here, because Mechagodzilla is awesome. Classic Showa Mechagodzilla is terrifying. He's got the buzzsaw hands. He's got finger missiles. He's got eye lasers. He's got a spinny head that makes a shield. And both of these movies feature King Caesar. Again, super underrated monster, and I think it is super cool. He does like kung fu kicks, jump spin kicks, all this kind of crazy nonsense. I love it. I love King Caesar. He's cool. And he's in both these movies. The Terror of Mechagodzilla, it's more like stock footage kind of thing, but either way, it's cool. And he's like an island protector man. He just comes out swinging. I love it. So after that, let's see, what year was that? That was 1975. So we take about a 9-year break after that. Take about a 9-year break, and then we get our first reboot of Godzilla. Reboot. And Godzilla 1984 is C tier. This movie, I don't know how to describe it other than like a wet fart. It's cool because we get updated Godzilla stuff. It's the Heisei era. Like, the special effects jumped miles at this point. It's super dope to see Godzilla like be mean again. You know what I mean? Like in the original, he was a bad guy essentially, and then we kind of get this era of he's like a superhero almost. It's cool to see Godzilla come back. It's cool to see Godzilla come back as like old school Godzilla versus humans. All right, let's do this. Godzilla's a bad guy. He's going to mess us up. We got to take him down, right? So when the next movie rolls around, and honestly, the next couple, he kind of feels like a bad guy in most. I think the Heisei era, I would say it's about 50-50 whether he's a good guy or bad guy looking at this list. So Godzilla versus Biollante. This movie, I did not appreciate when I was younger. I will be totally honest with you. If you asked me this like 15 years ago, make this list, this would be a much different list. I would just have like every fighting. I mean, I still love the fighting stuff, but every goofy movie up here, Gojira down here, you know, all this kind of stuff. Biollante is hands down, objectively, subjectively, in every sense of the word, one of the best Godzilla movies ever made. This movie, when you're watching it as a kid expecting, you know, Showa Godzilla, you go into this movie and it is a whole different vibe. Sorry, my stream weird info things for whatever reason. You go into this one, it is a whole different vibe. It's essentially a horror movie. You have a scientist who's trying to... He was trying to save his wife. He's a botanist. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. He studies plants. And he was able to create a plant that's essentially like Little Shop of Horrors. The name is escaping me right now. But this plant eventually absorbs Godzilla cells. and becomes one of the coolest monsters ever. Like, I'm gonna pull up a screenshot real quick. So it has a couple different stages, it's a couple different forms. So as you can see by the cover, it's a better picture of the cover. Also amazing art. These movies all had amazing art. Ah, there's a good one. So it starts off as this kind of like giant root, right? And then it evolves as it absorbs more Godzilla cells into one of the scariest things, I think, in the Godzilla franchise. Biollante is terrifying. I love it. Like, Godzilla gets his ass beat, and eventually, like, the cells degenerate or something. Dude, it's so good. Josh, you have to watch Godzilla vs. Biollante. Like, it's so good. I can't. Like, Godzilla gets his ass beat. There's this whole drama with, like, this turning out to be one of the characters' mother. Like, it's some Ava level shit. Some Ava level. Just buy the Blu-rays on Amazon. They're like $5. I think it has that, and it has Biollante and Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, maybe? It's a two shot. But you can buy them for like $5-7, something like that on Amazon. This thing is horrifying, and I love every second of it. This movie hits deep, and I will forever fight that it is one of the best Godzilla movies ever made. So it can go nowhere. Yes, this is how Space Godzilla becomes a thing as well, because at the end of the movie, all the Godzilla cells that are inside of it fire up into the air and into space, and that leads to, the end of the series. But one, hands down, like, objectively, subjectively, whatever, it is the best, one of the best Godzilla movies, period. It is so good. And then we get to the Heisei Godzilla vs. Ghidorah. And this movie is a shit show, but it is a fantastic shit show. So this movie has a whole bunch of time shenanigans in it that Godzilla defeats Ghidorah, and they eventually bring in Mecha Ghidorah. Mecha Ghidorah shows up, and it is fucking awesome. So, basically, Godzilla blows one of the heads off, and then these Time Space Patrol, Trunks, Capsule Corp type people go in, suture on a new head, and it comes back with a vengeance. I remember seeing Mecha Ghidorah, because I was super into Mecha Godzilla, and being like, that's the one. That's the thing. The 3-headed gold dragon, pretty cool. The metal one with the metal head and the big metal wing, oh, nope, that's the one. Now, you gotta have to remember, at Heisei, at this point, these movies got violent. Like, in Godzilla vs. Biollante, like, Godzilla's bleeding everywhere. They're both bleeding, and, like, there's actual, like, cries of pain. This one, same thing. There's, like, blood splatter. There's all this stuff. It's crazy. All right. I'll catch you later, Josh. Good luck. This movie is absurd. And because it introduces Mecha Ghidorah, which I gotta show. I gotta show. Mecha Ghidorah is such a cool design, except for the wings aren't as cool as I remember. I'm gonna be honest. Here's a good picture. I think I had this toy too. Oh, it's the Tamashii Nations one. I don't want Amazon. There we go. So this thing, absurd. I love it. Not only is it the crazy dragon, but now it's got all these cool metal pieces and it's a mech. So, it's the whole reason I enjoy this movie. And I'm going to put it higher than it probably should be because it's my list and I don't care. Okay? Okay. Now, Ronnie, you can tell which era is my favorite because I'm just going to gush about all these movies. The next one, Godzilla Battle for the Earth. Godzilla vs. Mothra Battle for the Earth. I got to give it to S, honestly. I think Batra, who is one of the characters introduced in this movie, is so dope. Look at this thing. This is its larval form. Like, its larval form looks like it can fuck you up. Like, come on now. How cool is that? And then we get to, like, its moth form. And it's just angry. Oop, that's someone's drawing. Drawing, though. It's just angry. Literally angry Mothra. So, I love this movie. And again, this is one of the first ones I saw where Godzilla was a bad guy, basically. He essentially, Mothra is once again trying to stop Godzilla from destroying the world, and that's typically how their stories go. And there's this really cool moment where Mothra and Batra are like fighting, and they realize Godzilla is the real problem, so they team up against him. And Mothra does this really cool like cage dust thing, super sick. I'm describing it very poorly. It's cool though. I love that movie. It's so good. Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla. Or, I'm sorry, is this against? This one's against, I believe. Oh, this is versus Mecha Godzilla 2. Okay. Mecha Godzilla 2. I don't remember this one. I know he gets a cool backpack. I don't remember the specifics of this Mecha Godzilla. I only really remember Kiryu and Moebius, I think it's the name is, the other one that they kind of build around it. So I don't remember the specifics of this one. I have to go back and rewatch it. I have seen it, but again, gotta go back and rewatch it. Now, as we were just talking about when Josh popped in, Space Godzilla. I think this movie is a solid B. Solid. I don't think it's the best Godzilla movie. I don't think it's the worst Godzilla movie. I think it is really cool. Space Godzilla's design is really cool. He is basically a crystal, alien crystal that the G cells from Biollante, can't type, there we go, have attached to and grown into this kind of terrifying. Ooh, this is someone's really cool render of it. Z Space Godzilla, good shit, good shit. A very angry, terrifying render and kind of a cool, like, new take on the Nega Godzilla thing, right? Like, we have Mecha Godzilla, kind of a thing. This is like evil Godzilla. Edgelord Zilla. And his whole shtick is he just makes Godzilla's life miserable. Like, that's what it is. The G cells that Biollante absorbs fire up into the sky, and he just... yeah, it attached to this crystal. He becomes down and is a thing, and he just makes Godzilla's life miserable. He steals his kid at one point, tortures the kid. Ridiculous. So, I'm going to give that a solid B. I want to rewatch it because it has been a hot minute since I've rewatched it, but eventually. Once we get my Heisei collection, I will go through. They better be making it, man. I don't know what it is. I feel like it's something that has to do with Biollante. Like, Biollante, I don't think Toei or Toho owns the rights to them. Yeah, I think that's kind of the issue with that one. But we are going to now go to my favorite Godzilla movie ever. This is hands down my favorite Godzilla movie. So, of course, it is going in the number 1 S slot. Godzilla vs. Destoroyah. We did an episode on it. One of the first episodes of Tokudon, actually. We did an episode on this bad boy. And I took an hour and a half to gush about how much I love this movie. It is essentially from... It gives me such a wide range of emotions. So, Destoroyah is a crustacean that was mutated by the original oxygen bomb that was used in the first Gojira movie. That's how they end the movie. He's blown up by a bomb. Destoroyah here, who again is terrifying looking. There's a lot of really scary looking monsters in the Heisei era. He is a crustacean, multiple crustaceans, I should say, an entire race of crustaceans that were mutated by the atom bomb, or the oxygen bomb that they used in the original movie. So this Destoroyah is so sick. it has this whole like alien vibe. Like they even use the motion sensor and like the machine guns and everything. It's so cool. And the whole time they're like destroys a thing, Godzilla is melting down. So his core is internally imploding. It's one of those things where it's like adds tension to all of it. And because of that, this is where they got the idea for King of the Monsters Godzilla at the end, where he does the fire farts. He is imploding. He's got super strong breath. He's stronger in general. They murder his child in this movie. They murder Godzilla Jr. Not this Godzilla Jr., not the shit one. They murder actual baby Godzilla that was in Space Godzilla. It's just an all-around great movie. And then at the end of the Heisei era, the one and only Godzilla dies. And every time I watch that movie, I get choked up. Because it is... Like, when I say Godzilla is everything, he is everything. Like, there's... I could go in and show you, like, I have some toys. I have some things. I don't have a wall-to-wall thing going on. But Godzilla is everything. And, like, that movie hurts me every single time. Watching Godzilla melt down and them try and freeze him, it hurts. Like, I'm getting a little, like, choked up thinking about it. Like, that scene is so good. And it's such a perfect cap, because this is the end of the Heisei era. This movie was 1995. Caps the Heisei era of Godzilla films. Heisei 1, if you want to call it that. There's another name for the other ones, but this is the end of the Heisei Godzilla movies. And it's such a... It's kind of like Endgame. It may not be the absolute best. I personally think Civil War is better, but it's exactly what the series needed up to that point. And especially after I go through a marathon, that's like my movie, guys. Like, I can't stress that enough. That is my movie that I watch like when I don't feel good, when I just want to like put something on to make myself feel better. It's Godzilla versus Destroyer. And like, that's weird to say because Godzilla dies at the end and it always makes me sad, but like, that's my movie. It's either that or Big Trouble in Little China. You know what I'm saying? So I can't stress it enough. Like, that's just my number one Godzilla movie, period. Just is. So I can't gush enough about it, honestly. And since, let's just go from the highest high that is Godzilla vs. Destroyer and go to the lowest low. And you know what? I'm actually going to do something else. We're calling it trash. That's where that goes. And you know what? I'm going to stick him there too. I'm going to stick this and this there too. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, no, he's trash. Godzilla 2000 hurt me as a child. I don't know if you guys remember the Chalupa dog. You don't remember the Chalupa dog? There was Chalupa dogs for Taco Bell. Had things with this. Everyone thought it was the funniest thing ever, and I'm just like, no. Stupid. So it's hard, man. It's just not Godzilla. If they didn't call it Godzilla, it'd be a great kaiju movie. But it's called Godzilla. So there's certain standards it lives up to. And that comes to the answer to that movie. Because Toho was like, what did you do? Godzilla 2000. Godzilla 2000 is... I'm going to put it here. We're going to move it in a second, though, I think. Godzilla 2000 is a great movie in the sense that it's Godzilla. It's classic Godzilla. There's a monster. It's an alien monster. Godzilla loses for a little bit. Godzilla comes out the gate with a brand new design. Looks super sick. Very edgelord. Pull up a picture real quick. And most of these movies he has a new design, but this one, when they jump eras, this is typically when he gets the most overhaul. Awesome. This is where he kind of gets his Millennium look, which is very much I dig it, honestly. I like this look. It's much more sleek and reptilian. I think Millennium Godzilla is pretty cool looking. And he was slimmer, because Godzilla in the Heisei era, you gotta remember, is a chunky boy. He's got them thighs. So coming to it, I didn't like the design for a long time, especially in Godzilla 2000. Heisei Godzilla's got some chunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, chunky. But then you put it next to, I don't know why I got rid of it. Millennium Godzilla. Next to this sleek, slender. There's a good picture. Ooh, that's the chonk. Next to that, oh boy, it's tiny. He's got some grit. He's got some style. He's got an extra toe now. I just realized that. He's cool. He's extra spiky. Got like a Cobra hood thing going on. It's dope. But Godzilla 2000, not my favorite movie, honestly. I think there's other movies in the Millennium series that do its job of, I shouldn't say its job. Its job was to say, hey, we're still here. Godzilla's still around. He's not going nowhere. We're coming back with some business. So I'm going to give it a solid C. I think it's not nearly as bad as 1984. It's just like, it just is. Like, it's a good movie. It's a solid, like, C is you passed. You didn't do great. You didn't do bad, but you passed. Okay. There you go. Merry Christmas. Participation trophy. And that's kind of how I feel about Mechagodzilla too. I always thought Mechagodzilla looked cool, but like when I watched the movie, I don't know. Something about it. It's just weird to me. Like, it doesn't hit right. But there is this cool like time dimension thing going on. It's an interesting concept. I just don't think it was executed very well. I do want to go back and rewatch it though, because I know Mechagodzilla is pretty popular for a jobber, if you want to call him that. Next. Godzilla, Mothra, King Destroyer, and Ghidorah. All out monsters attack. This movie is so good. This movie is amazing. I'm gonna put it here. This movie has a whole new spin on Godzilla, and I think that's why I like it so much. And you'll see that kind of reflect in other things. But this movie does such a good job of taking the spirit of the original Godzilla, throwing in some new monsters, making him the bad guy again, but also having a fresh twist on it. So in this one, Godzilla is essentially like a ghost. He is the amalgamation of the energy from the soldiers who died in World War II. So he is just angry. I want to find a picture because I can't stress enough how angry he is. And it reflects too. Like, he does all kinds of crazy stuff in this one. And because of that, though, he is... Ooh, got a lot of good pictures. I don't know which one to choose. He also has, now that I'm looking at it too, he's a very like Showa vibe to him as well. Here you go. This is a good one. Boom. This thing, I think it's honestly the white eyes that make it so crazy. And it's, you can see like it kind of, especially compared to the Millennium one that we were just looking at, like it's a very Showa design. And to harken back to that, and he's even got the classic spikes going on. To harken back to that and put a new age spin on it, I thought was just the coolest thing ever. And you have Ghidorah and Mothra in there too. Like, you can't argue when those guys get together. It's just a great movie. It really is. I love it. Now, we are going to talk about one of my favorite characters. And that's because he is not only Godzilla, but he is super anime nonsense Godzilla. And that is Kiryu, who is Mecha Godzilla. But not just any Mecha Godzilla. He was built on the skeleton of the original Godzilla. So, this one is phenomenal. I think it's so cool. They have Godzilla, and like this poster alone, honestly. Like, if you find the Japanese, or I'm sorry, I don't know which poster it is, honestly. But like, this poster alone would make me want to watch this. Like, look at this. Look at this crazy anime tail, and like, how many kaiju honestly jump and like attack like this, and he gets these crazy busters. Essentially, this Mechagodzilla is built on the skeleton of the original, and he is angry. They try to control it, they cannot. So it is up to Godzilla here. Stop him. Stop. There's many children running into from behind these blinds. Furry children, not regular children. Hello. It's your stage now, I guess. Okay. But like, Kiryu is the coolest design for Mechagodzilla, period. I do not care. I don't care what he's been in. There you go. Look at this. This is him in the movie. Gonna load correctly. Not a blurry one. That'd be great. Someone reenacted it with the toys. Oh, that's the one from earlier. But Kiryu is hands down the coolest design for Mechagodzilla. Period. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Tokyo SOS. Similar movie. I didn't enjoy it as much, honestly. Mechagodzilla's still there hanging around. They think they fixed it. He doesn't. It is what it is. I didn't enjoy it as much, honestly. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just, eh. You know, we're gonna move to C. Now, coming down to the wire here, and we're gonna have a lot of mixed feelings in this chunk here. Final Wars. Final Wars has the coolest version of Ghidorah ever created. And my slip of the tongue earlier, that version. Kaiser Ghidorah. He is by far my favorite version of Ghidorah. He is the monster that I always imagined Ghidorah would be. And he has two forms. Where's his other one? There's like an artist rendition thing. Kaiser Ghidorah is not only super dope, but he has this first form, which is kind of terrifying, where he's running around on two legs. Really cool picture, actually. He runs around on two. He looks like Manus, the father of darkness, or whatever his name is. Final Wars is very much a send-off to Godzilla. I think they could kind of feel the end approaching for, you know, this chunk of the series. I think they were probably losing money. Honestly, I can't speak to that for real, but they were probably losing money. And they wanted to cap it off with something. And when we talked about how this Destroy All Monsters is an amazing battle royale movie, this is a great battle royale movie with like the shittiest story ever. And it doesn't need to, and I say that being the guy who will actually yell at people who are like, I need more humans in my movies. And when I say it's shitty, I mean it's just like campy and weird and doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a lot of like Matrix influence. 2004. It was that kind of time. And like, essentially these aliens come to Earth and use all the monsters to try and kill Godzilla. Essentially what it is. It's, yeah, it is what it is. It's a fanfic. It's plain and simple. One of the best moments, though, I will share quickly, is this 46-second clip. We're gonna play this for a second. Hang on, turn this music down. That's it. That's it. That's the only clip you need to see. That is Godzilla versus Zilla. Doing his Godzilla versus Zilla thing, 46 seconds, and some, like, butt rock. 46 seconds and butt rock. That's all you need. That movie's great. And if you just, like, obviously most of these movies for the story, you should turn your brain off probably. But this one in particular, if you just turn your brain off and enjoy it for what it is a ridiculous Godzilla anime live action, essentially. And it is the best, I'm gonna say this, it is the best Godzilla anime ever made. Final Wars is the best Godzilla anime, period. Period. That's it. So, that rounds out the main series. You have the Showa, you have the Heisei, you have the Millennium, right? So, those are our main chunks out of Japan. Now, let's talk Godzilla 2014 and the divisive nature that is this movie. This movie, again, if you had asked me when it came out, I honestly would have said here. This movie, when it came out, I thought was not good. Kick-Ass and Wanda are just not good in this movie. And I don't think it's to any fault of their own. They had Bryan Cranston to stand up to, who, if you get Bryan Cranston, you don't kill him 10 minutes into the movie. That's just, I feel like that's just basic facts. Like, that man is an amazing actor. I've never even seen Breaking Bad. I just know, that dude's an amazing actor. So when this movie first came out, I hated it. Like, I think there's something super arrogant about stuff that is, like, purposely... How do I put this? Purposely frustrating. And I mean that in a sense that, well, first, they got the director who directed Monsters. And if anyone's ever seen that movie, because he did most of it himself and learned VFX himself, most of that movie is shot so that you don't see the monsters. But this movie goes out of its way to not show you things, or like show them in the background. So I still feel some kind of way, and I still get a little irked sometimes when this movie is happening. But it's not like it used to be, and I can actually appreciate it much more than what I used to. And realistically, I'm going to give it a B. So this movie is a Showa movie through and through. It is... And there's a... I'm going to talk about a little theory here in a second with the 3 Godzilla legendary movies. Legendary Godzilla. This is a Showa movie through and through. I think he's on screen for maybe 8 minutes total. And the huge comparison that people would always give was Gojira, the first Japanese one, 1954. You know, that's just the main comparison. But my issue with that is Gojira has a better movie around it. Now, that being said, this does have some moments. So think of it like this. There's a circle, right? Gojira, solid circle all the way around. Godzilla, kind of spiky. There's a couple spots that maybe go up above those lines. There's a couple spots that dip way below. It's not as solid of a film all around. So there's things like particular. And if you've seen the movie, you probably know which one it is. pause this music again. Now. It's in that movie. And I appreciate good like combat design a lot. If you guys listen to me talk at all, ever, which if you're listening to this, you probably have. I really appreciate good combat design, and it has really good choreography. It has really good essence of Godzilla. Like, it's a kaiju movie. I just think it has a lot of other issues. So, yeah. I'm gonna skip Shin Godzilla for a second, and I want to talk about something. Actually, you know what? Let's finish Legendary. So, King of the Monsters. I'm just gonna say it. I love this movie. I love King of the Monsters. I think it is one of the best Godzilla movies, again, made. I think it, if someone was to say, like, hey, the old stuff is a little too old for me, what should I watch? I don't know if I would recommend this. It's kind of like when we were talking about content creation, we were talking about Gaim being the first one. I don't know if King of the Monsters is the first one. That's a really high standard. This movie is really good, right? So, to me, while this one, Godzilla 2014, is very much a Showa movie, Godzilla King of the Monsters is a hard Heisei movie for me. It is darker. It is more vicious. It's more primal, I guess is the word. It's very much something that when you see clips, you see Ghidorah. Let me backtrack a second because I'm getting off track. Me and my fiance went to see this movie in the movie theater. This is the first Godzilla movie I saw in the theater. I saw 2014. I saw 2014 in the theater. I shouldn't say that. Not that impressive, but Godzilla 2000 was the first one one that hit me as a Godzilla movie. You know, like the roar and everything in Godzilla 2014. Shudders, great. Again, the sound design is pristine, but Godzilla 2000 was the first Godzilla movie I saw in the theaters, and this King of the Monsters, honestly, watching it in the theater versus watching it at home was kind of disappointing. The movie is so good, and Ghidorah, not even just Ghidorah, everyone in that movie commands such a presence and has such a personality. It's so cool to see. Rodan is the little shit that he always is. Ghidorah is literally a force of nature. Mothra is the caring protector. And those are conveyed without them not saying a single word. They're giant animals slapping the piss out of each other and roaring. And all of that is conveyed so well. And I can't get over how good this movie is. And, people are like, oh, but the human parts. I don't give a shit about the human parts, okay? I really don't. I am here to watch a Godzilla Battle Royale. And if you can do that part right, you can get a lot done. And that brings me to the third one, which isn't actually on here, but Godzilla versus King Kong. I would call that a solid B. I think that movie did a lot of things really well, just like 2014. I think that movie would also benefit from a lot of things. Was it as good as King of the Monsters? Absolutely not. Was it as bad as 2014? Not in my opinion. But there was a lot of things that were just even when you turn your brain off, it's hard to get past them. So, I give it a solid B. And again, following with my little thing here, if this was a Showa movie, King of the Monsters is a Heisei movie, King Kong, Godzilla vs. King Kong, or Godzilla vs. Kong, is very much a Millennium movie. It's bombastic, it's crazy, it's out there. Not that these two aren't, but it is very much, it steers into this Millennium era of big bombastic energy, ridiculous science, all this kind of stuff, which are, again, staples of the series, but it iconized it. So, I'm gonna save my opinion for Shin Godzilla for last, because I think it is the most... It's another divisive one. And I'm gonna put... let's talk this anime trio. This anime trilogy is hot garbage. I'm not even gonna front. It is hot garbage. So, these movies, the first one, they're fighting a Godzilla. There's something about they've been gone for a million years. They're coming back to Earth to reclaim it. This Godzilla is roaming around, stopping them. And then you find out Godzilla is like taking over the planet. He's a plant in this series, which, whatever. Gen Urobuchi wrote them, which is kind of what he also did Kamen Rider Gaim. He also did Knights of Sidonia, the adaptation for it. Which, Gen Urobuchi, Bochi, whatever. I adore that man's storytelling. I really do. He has amazing ideas that are conveyed in such a way that is phenomenal. But these movies are snore fests because Godzilla doesn't do anything. Godzilla literally walks around and fires his atomic breath. And I'm pretty sure it's the same animation. They just put a new background behind him. They are the most boring things in the world. And you have these characters that are just like, they're cardboard cutouts trying to be deep. And it's really frustrating. And then by the time we get to the third one, we're not even gonna talk about 2. 2 bugs me because Mechagodzilla is a city. It's a fortress. And it's a whole thing. There's some cool like mech things that the people pilot. By the time we get to 3, it's turned into this weird metaphysical theory about like good and bad and all this stuff. And I don't know, man. I don't know, man. It's not good. And Ghidorah is this weird, like, phantom you have to believe to stop it thing. It sucks. It sucks. And I kind of want to watch them again just to remind myself how much they actually suck. Like, I just distinctly remember being bored out of my goddamn mind. All 3 of them. That's it. That's all I have to say about them. Hopefully Singularity Point is much better. From what I've seen, the animation at least carries it a lot farther. And this is very early 3D CG kind of thing. So, I don't know how well that translated either. But Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla. This movie is very divisive as well in the fandom, I believe. Or I feel anyway. I feel very divisive in the fandom. This movie let me talk about what people's problems are. It's boring. There's not a lot of Godzilla. He doesn't do a whole lot. There's no other monsters to fight. Yada, yada, yada. This movie is directed by Hideaki Anno. It's depressing. Let's not even front. Everything that man does is kind of depressing. This movie, though, is amazing to me. It is like if I had to pick one to show people to be like, what is Godzilla? It's this one. Because this inherits the spirit that Gojira would, right? So this movie, Godzilla is this nightmare creature. He is upsetting to look at. And just like in this, I feel like it's the same kind of feelings that were invoked when people saw the original for the first time. Having that, you know, representation of the events that had happened in their history. And just having something that symbolizes it in such a visceral way. Shin Godzilla does that. And Shin Godzilla, the entire point of this movie is similar to the original being a propaganda film for the most part. This is an expose on how well the government works with natural disasters. When this movie was conceptualized, the Fukushima plant had just gone haywire. All kinds of poison. I'm pretty sure they're still having issues with it. So, dealing with... And There was also the floods, the tsunamis, that kind of stuff. This Godzilla movie is such a representation of, I feel, Japan's dark soul at the time. And he reflects that in being, like I said, this nightmarish creature and this evolving menace. And it's such a good movie that people that say it's boring or like not anything, nothing happened in this movie really don't understand like an expose piece. And like, that's fine. If that's not your thing, I totally get it. That's cool. But to understand it on a certain level, you need to open, I don't want to say your mind because that sounds condescending, but you need to like realize where the energy was at that point when this movie came out. And I think, again, that's a huge representation of how this came to be. And again, I'm going to show one more clip because I love it and it still gives me chills every single time. This movie, so I saw this in the movie theaters, not knowing much about it at all, other than it's directed by Hideaki Anno and it's Godzilla. Wow. That scene alone, like, it just does something. I don't know. Like, it hits a visceral little primal, we were talking about the primal area. I don't know what it is, but that atomic breath, that sound design alone, that noise that it makes, that screeching noise. Oh my goodness. There's certain things that like just trigger almost like an emotional response, and that I feel like that's one of those noises. And I think that movie is amazing. That is probably the best part in the movie, but at the same time, like, there's so much more around it. I just don't know. Oh no, did we lose it all? Okay, cool. Sick. Oh, look at that. I could have been in that mode the whole time. So that is our tier list for Godzilla. My personal tier list. Again, I'll post this up on Twitter. Save this bad boy. I'll post this up on Twitter. If you want to check it out or you listen to this later, you want to get your opinion out there, just let me know. This is, again, not really an official Tokudon thing, but I might throw it out there just to see how everyone's feeling. Maybe we'll do some more of these little like Carl's Corner chats when Rob's not around. But if you want to stick around in about what time is it? In about 5 minutes or so, I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to play some Near Replicant or Fighting EX Lair. So we'll see which one's which. It all depends on if Ken is free. But stick around, hang out, give me about 5 minutes. I will be back. Thank you very much. Deuces, guys.